Hi guys, it's Jake at Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we're taking a look at a Schrade knife. An all steel folder, a beastie beast of a blade, titanium coating, monotone the same all over the place. Hefty, heavy, solid, strong, feels good. Looks good, cuts well. Why don't you just go out and buy it and skip the whole review? Because that's not what we're about. Why don't you stick around? We'll do a full review on this thing and see what you think of this knife after you find out what I think of this knife. Stick around. I really like Schrade. I'm not going to make any apologies for that. It's a brand that I liked a long time ago. I used to collect, those of you who don't know my story, I used to collect knives a long time ago. And then when I had to go on disability, money got so tight, I sold everything. And in the last year to a year and a half, I got back into collecting. And about 10 months ago, I started a knife channel. And so I've been buying knives again. But since I'm on disability, I don't have an awful lot of money. Everything's tight. So I'm buying budget knives. And Schrade is one of those American companies that they had their own financial difficulties. And they basically went belly up, got sold. And another company bought the rights to the brand and started having the knives made in China. And as you already know, if you've been watching this channel for a while, China has stepped it up in the last 4 or 5 years, and they are making some very good blades out of that country. And some of the Chinese brand names are doing a kick-ass job, doing really nice blades out of decent steels and doing a really good job of it. And as you also know, some of the American brands are getting their knives made over there, and they're getting some really good products coming back with the American names on them, but made in China knives. This is one of those made in China knives that I really, really like. As I said in the introduction, this is a all monotone kind of knife. It's an all steel construction, 9CR18 MOV for the blade. That's a Chinese steel that's very much like 440C. And in my opinion, I've been a knife guy for a while, but I'm not a metallurgist. I'm not a steel specialist or anything. But in my estimation, 440C 9CR18 MOV is a steel that is in the threshold between budget and mid-grade. That's my opinion. So this steel is at that balance point. It's basically a mid-grade kind of steel at a very budget price. You will be very surprised when I tell you the price of this knife, especially if you're a Canadian. If you're a Canadian, pay attention. Keep watching this. You're going to want to know this. Let's talk about the specs on this thing. When the knife is open, the blade's deployed, this thing is 8.5 inches long. That's about 21.6 centimeters. The handle of the knife, we're talking about almost 5 inches, a little over 4 3/4 inches. A little over 12 centimeters, 12.2, 12.3 centimeters, something like that. So the cutting edge is just over 3.5 inches, which is just over 9 centimeters, which is really good. We've got a hollow grind, drop point. Some people might want to call it a spear point. If you ignore the swedges and stuff, it almost looks even, not quite. I'm calling it a drop point, an unsharpened swedge. So you got the flat spine back here. You're not going to hurt yourself. You're not going to cut yourself back there. The hollow grind comes back roughly 1/2 inch all the way up. You got a lot of flat area here if you've got one of those sharpening systems that clamps on, like a Lansky. There's a whole bunch of them. The thumb stud comes out a little bit further than I like. I would like that thumb stud to be a little bit further back, a little bit closer to the pivot, so that when you are slicing products like an apple or something, you're less likely to bump into that thumb stud. It's not bad. It's quite a ways back. Let me show you. It's 3 1/4 inches from the tip to the thumb stud. So there's a lot of room there to slice. It's not a big deal. It's just a small thing. But I like to give all the positives and all the negatives, or just things that I'd like to see slight changes on when I talk about a knife. And that's just a small thing, not a big deal at all. What else do we want to talk about on the blade? Nothing. Well, there's a little sharpener's choil here. I really like it when they do that. That way, when you're sharpening, you don't get, mess up and get scarring and scrape marks on the ricasso or anything back there. You've got the model number stamped into the steel right there. I like that when they do that. It's better than etching it in with lasers and stuff, in my personal opinion. This is never coming off. It's never going to be scraped off. You can clean off the metal all you want. It's always going to be there. So that's kind of nice. The pocket clip is actually a very nice pocket clip. It's got good retention, good springiness, very deep carry, not super deep, but very deep. Your pants pocket comes all the way up. Let's imagine this is your pocket, and that's what you got showing. If this is the front edge of your pocket, you haven't got much showing. This titanium here is kind of dull. It's not highly reflective, so you're not going to be demonstrating to the whole world that you've got a knife. People who know what to look for will certainly see that you've got a knife in your pocket, but it's not a big deal. You can't adjust that pocket clip anywhere. You can't change it to any other spot. You can't make it tip up. You can't make it left side. It's the right side, tip down only. If you've watched my video on tip up, tip down, you can see why I don't really mind that at all. The more important point is that it's a nice deep carry. And the even more important is that it doesn't create hot spots in the hand, and it's functional. Functional, guys. It works. You're not going to lose the knife easily. It holds on to the pocket, and it keeps the knife where you want it to stay. There you go. The handle, woohoo! These are a couple thick slabs of steel here. Frame lock. They've done a really nice cutout here with the relief so that it becomes a spring. Yeah, it looks good. They did a good job. Attention to detail is what I like to see. All of the hardware is got the same titanium coating on it. Looks nice. A nice round lanyard hole. 550 paracord fits through there, no problem. And your blade is not going to get anywhere near that paracord to, get into cutting it. Very well designed that way. The show face on this knife is, you can get some models of this knife that are more plain. I like this one that's got these 5 little lines in it. It almost looks like a hand, a thumb, and 4 fingers. It just adds a little bit of decoration, a little decorative touch. And when you're holding the knife in your hand, it feels good. Your fingers sort of rest in there. It gives you a little bit of added traction. And then you've got the name Schrade, which is milled into the steel as well. And they did a good job with that. All the fit and finish is done well. I like how the standoffs are 3D. It's kind of like an hourglass shape. That looks really nice. That helps keep the knife looking good. The other thing it does is it helps you see how well the blade centering is done on the knife. The blade centering in this guy is quite good. It's not perfect, but it's quite good indeed. No complaints there at all. The blade is rock solid when it's deployed. No blade play side to side or up and down. It's very smooth action, and they got some very smooth action even though they've got 2 nylon washers. You know what, guys? Nylon washers are not the boogeyman that most knife reviewers have made them out to be. Nylon is a phenomenal product. It's an older technology. It's been around, I don't know, since the 40s or 50s. I'm not sure when they developed nylon as a solid, product like this. Well, maybe even way before then. I got no idea. But it's a very slippery product. And these washers are very functional and they're durable. And the more I actually study it And the more I actually do some testing and comparing my knives that have nylon washers compared to phosphor bronze washers, the more I'm finding that the nylon washers really are not that significantly inferior to other washers. Yes, I think they are slightly inferior, but not that much. It's not a big degree of difference. It's not a huge factor difference. So I'm finding I'm not bothered by nylon very much at all. Actually, I'm not bothered by nylon washers at all, except for I don't like it when they stick out and you can see them and they're so super visible. This one shows off just a little bit. You can see it right in there. You can see a little bit of white. It's not a big deal. Some knives, the way they're designed and laid out, you can just see an awful lot. One thing that I would like to see is I would like to see this relief cut for the frame lock to be a little thinner. I'm seeing a lot of knife companies that are using technology where they've got really fine lines like wire EDM technology. That's a little more expensive, but some companies are able to do that on knives that cost, $14, $15 US. I don't know how they do it, but this is done well. I like it. No problem. No, nothing wrong there. Another thing that I'd like to see changed on this knife is on the handle scales. It really does need a little bit of work on the handle scales because the knife is just too heavy. Look at this, 260 grams. Well, 259. That is 9.1 ounces. You've got two knives right here, guys. 4.5 ounces is a good weight for a knife. This is two knives. I like a heavy knife. I've been known to carry knives that are 8-9 ounces, so I'm not complaining about the weight. But some buyers don't want such a heavy knife. And if the handle scales here would have been milled out on the inside a little bit, done some milling out to lose some weight, they'd still be strong handle scales. That would save a little bit of weight there. A lot of people like these big, thick, chunky blades, so you're not going to save weight by cutting the blade down in size. But if it had a flat grind, you could take off more material instead of have this big area here where the whole knife is thick. And that would help the blade come in a little bit lighter. The hollow grind is very functional. It cuts really well. It's very efficient. It's a good knife for that. But a flat grind can cut well too. So personally, no harm, no foul. I don't mind a heavy blade. Some guys do. But most people know what they're getting into when they're buying one of these all-steel SCH300 series, low 300 series knives. They're all nice and big and chunky. There is a version of this knife that's smaller and lighter. So if you want a little smaller blade, you can get that. I'm going to put some links for those in the description below. Some people just don't want such a big knife like this. I like them this size. I also like them smaller. I like just about any knife. Oh, I really like knives. I like this knife quite a bit. It feels good in the hand. It looks good. I like the titanium coating. I haven't seen wear on it yet. It's a good knife. I like it. The only things that I want to see changed on it, maybe a little weight taken off of it. Maybe this thumb stud moved back a tiny bit. Maybe a few more options for where the pocket clip can go. But the pocket clip itself is a good choice. Nice pocket clip. I don't mind it. And that's about it. Everything else is nice on this knife. Fit and finish is good. Feels good in the hand. I didn't get any hot spots through use. How well it cuts is really good. Huge belly on this knife and a small flat area here. Jimping, these two little divots up here. It actually works quite good for the fat of my thumb to rest in there. There's no other jimping around. It doesn't need it. Works fine. Beveling all over the place. The detent is nice on it. You can hear that sound when I deploy the blade. rock solid, no blade play. I already mentioned that. It's a good knife. If you're looking for a big knife, if you want a knife of this style, I say go for it. If you like this video, regardless of if you like the knife or not, please click on like. Share this video with somebody if you know anybody's looking for something like this. And comment. The comment section is my favorite part of doing this whole channel. Remember, guys, always cut towards your chum and not your thumb. Bye now.